Two more teens have been arrested in connection to the August attack on former DOGE staffer Edward Corstein.
You may remember that attack seemingly prompted Trump to first deploy the National Guard in Washington, D.C. U.S. Attorney for DC Jeanine Pirro said on Monday that 19-year-old Lawrence Cotton Powell and 18-year-old Anthony Taylor have been charged with, among other things, robbery, assault, and carjacking.
At yesterday's press conference announcing the charges, U.S. Attorney Pirro honed in on one of the suspects' criminal record.
I think what's significant about this case is the history of Lawrence Cotton Powell. After a felony of attempted robbery conviction, after a violation of probation, after a second crime, after a second conviction, after no compliance with C. SOSA, the judges say do better and they let him go. And guess what? Within 10 days, he's at it again with Ethan Levine and Edward Corstein.
These charges come just days after a DC Superior Court judge sentenced two 15-year-olds to probation for their involvement in the attack, a move that was highly criticized by Trump and his administration.
Following the announcement, Elon Musk, Corstein's former boss at DOGE, called for justice, writing in a post on X, "Those who commit severe violent crime must be taken off the streets." And we spoke yesterday, or maybe it was last week, I can't remember, about why, I understand the outrage at supposed leniency, but the other ones who had been sentenced to probation were underage,
right.
And given what they were charged with and that they were underage and it was a first offense, there's only so much based on the statute that you can do.
Right.
It was in the range of that.
Right.
House arrest effectively instead of up to, I think, 120 days in prison. So, take it or leave it. I was glad to see more charges because there were up to 10 people involved, according to the victims. And now these are two other people. And these people are adults and can be charged much more aggressively. And one of them, according to Jeanine Pirro, had quite a record of previous run-ins with the law and sentencing and so forth. And so I hope this is taken very seriously. It sounds like it will be taken very seriously. And some significant penalties will be applied, and that seems entirely appropriate to me, given the situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is different than the outrage that we saw the previous time because of the issue that you mentioned. The two 15-year-olds being underage are going through the juvenile system, and the purpose of the juvenile system is to try to alter people's trajectory so that they avoid future crime. It is not really intended to have a punitive effect. Now, if these people are ultimately found guilty, and we say every time we're discussing anything like this, people are entitled to the presumption of innocence, they will get the chance to rebut the charges in court. But if they are found guilty, they will be then therefore sentenced as adults, and these are serious crimes. It's, I don't want the fact that this has become politicized to some degree to lead people into a position of sort of demanding leniency or making light of what happened because it's sort of somewhat Trump or Musk related. Assault is a serious crime. I understand that these most recent people charged are also charged in connection with an incident that happened right before or right after at some gas station nearby. So there are issues there. And more generally, look, I mean, I don't know really who's arguing for more people who are convicted of violent crimes to be left on the streets. I mean, there is a question in the abstract general sense about whether excessive use of incarceration can be societally damaging or embed people more deeply into criminal behavior. But that's different from saying, like, I don't believe that people who beat someone up should just be let off.
Right. When it comes to, I don't lust after excessive incarceration either. My understanding of the literature is that the problem there is overly long sentences for people who effectively age out of the
criminal
period. Most violent crimes are
Right.
committed by people between the ages of 15 and 40, or maybe even 15 and 30. That is the task of civilization, is preventing the violence inflicted by men, exclusively men of that age. much beyond that, your risk of harming others goes down dramatically. Also, what really prevents, what is correlated with preventing crime is not length of sentence necessarily, but certainty of swiftness and certainty of punishment. So a system where if it takes a long time and then the conviction is thrown out for a variety of reasons, and I've discussed previously why DC is uniquely dysfunctional. We have a problem with the judges here have been extremely deferential to defense's arguments about what evidence should count. We've had difficulty even compiling evidence in homicide cases for reasons of the evidence gathering, forensics lab being offline, and so on and so forth. If you don't, you get repeat offenders if you don't punish. It's not about locking them up necessarily forever, but just you do something wrong, you're swiftly tried, convicted, you go to prison. Like that, and if you reoffend, you go straight back to prison, and that is what serves as a deterrent effect.
Well, yes, I mean, I'm sure that does serve as a deterrent effect. The question, I think, is what protections do you have for the defendant? What protections do you have that build on that presumption of innocence? Because I don't think that in the name of speed or efficiency, important protections for a defendant should be stripped away. And I come back in these things to the fact that when a criminal trial takes place, the whole power of the government can be put in the service of trying to obtain a conviction. Therefore, rebalancing that or having actually just a modicum of balance to it involves allowing the defendant his or her proper rights. And I wouldn't like to see those circumscribed in any way.
I wouldn't either. I'm a big fan of civil liberties, obviously, but something has gone wrong, at least in the nation's capital with the level of people just, in cases like this, where there are people back on the street despite being convicted, having gone through some kind of system and being, after 10 days not showing up for whatever, not participating. You have your rights, but you have to participate in the legal procedures and not even showing up for them and being, out causing, not just out avoiding punishment for some past misdeeds, but out there committing new misdeeds.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Raises the importance of doing that.
Right, and I get why people are outraged by that. Marjorie Taylor Greene is making comments critical of the Republican Party yet again. Up next, why she thinks the GOP is at risk of losing control of the House in next year's midterms. Stay with us.